This time we're in the Isle of Man. Join us and see some of the sights and attractions in 48 hours on this little island in the middle of the Irish Sea. Known as the Sunset City, the fishing port of Peel on the west coast of the island is known for its castle, ice cream, and of course those sunsets. A Viking stronghold, Peel Castle stands on St Patrick's Isle, linked to the town of Peel by a causeway. The rugged coastline and the ruins of the castle's outer walls make this an interesting stop. Open 7 days a week, it's £6 for adults and £3 for children. Take a walk up Tinwall Hill and look back over the castle and seafront. Parking is free and it's a good spot for a picnic. If you like your seafood, then try Manx Kippers, located just on the edge of town. Down a long winding lane, past the cafe and steep hill, you arrive at Niable Bay. Secluded, quaint, and with a dramatic coastline, you suddenly feel like a fisherman from years gone by. There are fantastic views of the Calf of Man and the mountains of Ireland on a clear day. You might also spot seals and possibly basking sharks, particularly between May and August. Interesting to know that the fisherman's cottage was also used in the film Waking Ned. There are a number of coastal walking trails to take in the sights and smell of the sea. The Calf of Man is a small island off the southernmost tip of the island. It is separated from the Isle of Man by a narrow stretch of water called the Calf Sound. A nature reserve and bird sanctuary. If you have the time, book a boat trip in or around the Calf. Seals are sometimes spotted on the rocks soaking up the sun. Walking paths stretch to Port Erin or to Craignish, our next destination. With a modern cafe and free parking, it's a good spot for lunch and to spend a few hours. Craignish is a small, charming village with a tourist museum. Home to a flock of rare four-horned low-tan sheep, much of the village is made up of the living museum, with the small cottages forming the exhibits. Inside, the Victorian farming and fishing equipment is displayed and demonstrated. It's probably the only illustration of farming and crofting in the 19th and early 20th century. You might also see the plough horses, shorthorn pigs and the elusive Manx cat. Parking is at the top of the hill outside of the village and a 10-minute walk away. Starting in Douglas and steaming east to Port Erin via Castletown, this narrow gauge railway is the longest in Britain. Several services run a day, and you need to check the timetable on the website, as it varies from day to week depending on the season. Many of the towns and attractions to the south are near the railway, so it's a good, convenient way to get around. A one-way trip from Douglas to Port Erin will take about an hour. Top tip: buy a 1 or 3 day Explorer card for £17, as it allows for travel on all public transport, heritage steam and the electric railway, so it really is the cheapest way to get around. The scenery is stunning, and it's a superb way to spend an hour or so chugging along the countryside. We were heading for Castletown. Castletown Harbour has played host to the World Tim Bath Championships for the last 48 years. Contenders come from all over the world to compete. Whilst a lot of fun, with decorations and themes, there are strict rules. The bath must be no more than 5 feet long and it has to be made of tin. As you can see, the harbour becomes full of spectators enjoying the afternoon sun with a beer or ice cream. On a normal weekend, you can visit the castle, pop in at Lawn House, or take a stroll around the lanes of this quaint town. But today, it's all about the contest and the Tim Bath madness. Looking for some peace after all that excitement, we drove to one of the many glens, picking Ballyglass. It was late afternoon and we were the only people taking a stroll. The crystal clear waters and numerous waterfalls along with a large carved ferry make this a magical place. There are various walking trails and a bridge straddles one of the falls. Just watch out for the midges, you get a few bites. If you don't have a car, the Glen is actually a stop on the electric railway that you'll see later in this video, so getting here is not a problem. Having spent the night in the capital, Douglas, at Inglewood B&B on the promenade, we were up and out early to make the most of our second and last day. We haven't covered Douglas in this video, but it offers all the amenities of an English seaside resort. Making our way northeast of the island, Laxey is an industrial town with many attractions and could be a good place to base yourself instead of Douglas. The Great Laxey Wheel dominates the local skyline and is a masterpiece of Victorian engineering. Built in 1854 to pump water from the attached mine, Lady Isabella, as she's known, is the largest surviving wheel of its kind in the world. Open from April to November between 9:30 and 5 p.m. each day. Entry is £8. Top tip, if you're staying for a few days, consider the Explorer card that includes entry to all the heritage sites. This is £34 a day and could be good value if you plan to visit many attractions in one day. A climb to the top offers panoramic views across the Laxey Valley, and if you wish to stay longer, there is a walking trail into the Glenmore Valley. With a hard hat on, you can walk a short distance into the dark, wet and damp mine shaft and see what working conditions were like for the miners. The Manx Electric Railway runs from Douglas to Ramsey. Running since 1893, this service offers a vintage Victorian charm. The halfway point is Laxey, and from here you can catch trams to Ramsey or Douglas, but also the Snaefell Mountain Railway, as we're about to do. Return tickets are £12. So again I mentioned the Explorer Day Pass for £17. It's better value if you're planning on other trips. The Mountain Railway runs a number of services each day. Be sure to check the website for timetables and note that it's only a small carriage, so spaces are limited. For 45 minutes you wind your way to the island's only mountain, Snaefell summit, and breathtaking views await. If you like to walk, then get off at the bungalow, the only stop on the 5-mile journey. From here you can walk the rest of the way to the top. At 2,036 feet above sea level, on a clear day you can see England, Ireland, Wales, Scotland, and of course the Isle of Man. You can remain at the top for as long as you like. There is a cafe with toilet facilities. The tram will wait for 30 minutes before leaving to head back to Laxey. Just don't miss the last service. There are many more things to do in Laxey that we couldn't fit in. The Miniature Mine Railway, the Laxey Glen Flour Mill, milling flour for the last 150 years, the Woolen Mills, home to Manx traditional woolen tweed. We took a break for a beer at the Mine Pub attached to the station before heading to Laxey Beach. Back on the train with views of Laxey Beach whizzing by, we headed for Ramsey. Riding in the open carriage named the Toast Rack, we enjoyed the panoramic views of the coastline. The train has numerous stops en route to Ramsey, including Ballaglass Glen that we visited earlier. Arriving in Ramsey, the tram will wait for 30 minutes, or you can return on a later service. To be honest, we didn't find much to do in Ramsey, so walked to the seafront and the harbour, then grabbed a Manx ice cream before heading back for the return journey. With the light fading and a flight to catch, there was just time to drive across the island, following some of the TT motorcycle route, and into Port Erin for a fish and chip supper. There is so much more to see and do in the Isle of Man. One weekend is not enough to cover it all. We will be back for sure. That's a wrap for this travel guide. We hope you find it helpful, but feel free to contact us in the comments if you have any questions or want some help. Remember to like and subscribe and ring that bell to be notified of our future travel guides. For now, happy travels from the Memory Seekers.